making a movie is such a magical experience that it is worth doing for the process itself. So in the spirit of documenting the journey, I just want to talk about a really brilliant essay I read recently called The Art of Ideation by the co-founder of Udemy. And he talks about how, when you are trying to think of a new idea, it usually starts, of course, in the exploration phase, talking to customers, doing market research. He said a sentence that really resonates with me, which is that entrepreneurs are really good at just figuring out things to do. They have a strong bias towards action, so they'll just jump in and do stuff. And that's kind of how I've been operating for the last 4 or 5 years. And right now, I think the best approach is to start talking to customers, doing a bit of research, and taking it slow, actually. There's this sense of, the year's ending, I've got to wrap up everything. And on one hand, it's great. It creates this time pressure to execute. But on the other hand, I think it could rush people. And right now, I'm not trying to be rushed. Right now, I'm trying to make the best short film I can in December. Yeah. And let me talk about the short film. We are doing some planning for the film shoot in Hong Kong this December. Super excited to do it. Johnny's gonna be acting in it, and it's gonna be a blast.
He's gonna win an Academy Award.
Yeah. Right now we're trying to find a female lead, and so far only our mom has applied, so. Tell a bit about the short film. So the short film is based on a true story between me and Alina, and the original goal was to, maybe try to make this into a movie in a few years. But this summer, I was hanging out with my good friend Omar, super talented cinematographer. So and I was talking to him on a summer trip, and I said, dude, as always, I was like, we've got to make a film in Hong Kong one day. It's gonna be epic. We're gonna have so much fun. And he looks at me and he's like, dude, you've been telling me this for 3 years. When are we actually gonna do it? And that just lit a fire under my ass because one, I have been talking about it for 3 years, and I think that there's really no perfect time to try to do this sort of thing. And since I don't have kids yet, Omar's a single guy, probably not for long because he's a catch, but the timing felt right. And I've been dilly-dallying on the script for a while, but the moment I said, let's shoot in December, I just went straight to writing the script. The creative process is a very messy, ambiguous journey, but from my decade of experience, I've learned the most important thing is just to start and to get feedback and to keep iterating on it. I think those 3 things, if you just keep chipping away at it, it will produce something decent. And I say decent because one other important thing I learned as a filmmaker is that if you don't have life experience, the stories you tell will probably be not as interesting as someone who has a breadth of interesting life experiences. And that's always been my philosophy, and that's why I think you see filmmakers do really great work when they're in their 30s or 40s, because when you're fresh out of college, I think, of course there are some exceptions, but you are still so fresh to the world. And if I look at the films I made in the past, it definitely lacks this sense of depth and maturity that I would have explored if I were to make it again now. And of course, hindsight's 2020, but I think that that's generally true. The more life experience you have, the more interesting your films will be. Shall we head to the gym? Yes, in here.
I need a warm up.
Okay, we're going to the gym where Alina and I spend a few days a week here. This is truly my happy place. So back to the film. It's based on a true story between Alina and I. It happens over one night when we reconnect after a whole 3 years of really not seeing each other because she was in college doing her own thing. I was in Hong Kong trying to make a documentary, and yeah, we were just at like a crossroads. Timing wasn't right. We weren't the right people for each other, but I for sure felt some sort of spark, especially when we took this nice long walk around Hong Kong. And we ended up by the pier. We saw some buskers. I sang 心不了情 for her. It was a really magical night that I'll remember for the rest of my life. And it's kind of aggressive. But selfishly, I want to capture that memory in a bottle, in a film. What is this story about? Well, I've been thinking about it for a long time. And it's one of those simple questions that is actually so hard to answer. For me, the story is actually about a guy who learns to just listen to what the other person wants, the love of his life, and just stop trying to achieve what he wants out of the relationship. And this is a true epiphany that I experienced in my own relationship with Alina. Yeah, and so I'm super excited to shoot it December 18th to 19th. We're looking for a female lead. One of the other things that make me really excited about making this short is that my brother is going to star in it. And I didn't know if he could act, to be honest, until I flew down to LA a few months ago to watch him in a play called, in this Julius Caesar play, the Shakespeare play. And that was the first time I really saw him kind of perform his craft and do it in a way that definitely revealed a certain level of intensity, of dedication to the craft. And once I saw that, I was like, I'm bought in. I absolutely believe that you can act and that you're gonna try hard to play this role. And so I'm incredibly excited to make this with my brother and one of my best friends, and to have it be about such a personal story, a romantic story, which is absolutely my thing. And last night, I'm gonna end it on this. Last night I was reading Sidney Lumet's book, Making Movies. It's this book that I was forced to read in college. And in it, there's a great line that says, making a movie is such a magical experience that it is worth doing for the process itself. That was cool. That reminded me of the old days when I used to make films as a young kid in my teenage years, because it is absolutely true that the process of coming up with an idea or writing it down on paper, bringing actors together, recreating a reality, and then layering it with music, editing it, telling the story, it's a really fun process. And in the last 4 or 5 years, I've taken a long break from filmmaking, and I think that in the beginning I kind of lost my love for this process. And as a 30-year-old, I feel like I understand myself a bit more, and I'm making the process as enjoyable as possible for myself. And I think when you do that, and specifically what I mean is I want to hang out with my friends, I want to hang out with my family. I hate sacrificing time away from them. And so to create a film with my friends, with my family, that's awesome, man. Like, I don't think it gets better than that. And yeah, for the first time in a long time, I'm super, super excited about making a film. It's bringing me a lot of joy just thinking about it, and to have Omar on board, who's one of the hardest workers I know and most talented cinematographer I know. It is also just it gives me a lot of confidence that we're gonna make a fantastic film. So thanks for watching. I'm getting my day started. My protein shake. Yeah, baby.